Hello, everyone, and welcome to NUFC360 podcast. With me this week is Jack and Stephen. How are we doing, boys?
Very good.
Yeah, not too bad. Well, apart from the weekend, but
we don't think about those things.
Yeah, we're coming.
Yeah, we just leave that.
We're coming to you live on transfer deadline day, as Jack just reminded me. But I think can you get an effect of tumbleweed going across the screen as this happens very quickly? Is there any sort of transfer movement? Mine is the ones that were like out of Newcastle. Anything happening anywhere?
Absolutely. What for? In terms of the Premier League,
in football, just in football, the world of football.
There's a few things. João Felix is going to AC Milan on loan. Chilwell is going to Crystal Palace on loan. What else is happening?
Villa. John Duran went, didn't he?
Yeah, John Duran left. He went Al Nassr. Villa have signed Rashford.
Fair play to the lad.
On loan. Villa are paying 85% of his wages as well. So
was that like 300k, 280k or something?
Yeah, and then there's a £40 million option to buy in the summer. But to be fair, considering Manchester United were looking for 100 million not that long ago, it's a massive cut in price.
Yeah,
in fairness. And then I think there's a few.
Brighton just spent, was it 25 million on that 19-year-old from Nuremberg?
Zimias. He's gone back on. Yeah.
Not a hope in hell. Marcus Rashford striker leaves. He stays. No one's having him. I'm surprised they took him. I thought Unai Emery would be more onto his attitude. But anyway,
I think the point with Rashford is just like, I think Unai Emery has massively improved a lot of the Villa players. We can see that clearly. If Rashford is actually determined to get his career back on track, this is a really good opportunity for him. If Emery can best out of him, then they do have a genuine, top player there. It's just getting the best out of him. It's a risk for both parties involved, really. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I hope it does shit. I don't like Rashford. Anyway, that's too much about everyone else apart from us. So, I mentioned at the weekend, we played Fulham. And it kind of epitomizes our season. We went on a massive winning streak. Then we lost. Then we won again. And then I was thinking, Fulham, I went round to Mum and Dad's house to watch it. Dad was like, well, we should have these. I'm like, they're a good team, Fulham. Like, they're one of them horrible teams in the middle, like Bournemouth, who absolutely slapped us up. So it was a bit of a tricky game. First of all, Jack, what are your thoughts on the game in general?
Yeah, I think Eddie Howe summed up perfectly. Just didn't play very well. I don't think he's much. I don't really think. It's just one of those. It was a bit flat. The whole performance. The problem what Newcastle have got now is with the fact that sold Almer on selling Kelly, no players are coming in. You're basically relying on the starting 11 to stay fit and also stay in form. And sometimes, if there's no pressure coming from the bench from certain positions, players can just. It's not saying that they deliberately do it, but I think naturally the levels just drop off if there's no competition. We've seen that before with Newcastle. I think if you think back to sort of season Newcastle finished 5th, and then the season after was in the Europa League. There was one first team signing made in Vernon Anita, and the rest of the squad was just kept the same. So then when Cabaye dropped his levels a bit, Tiote dropped his levels a bit, there was no one to come in and really take that position because there was no other options. So they could just keep the place despite playing poorly. And I think in Newcastle got some options in some positions. I think centre back, we've got Botman back now. At full back, I suppose there's Trippier, Fino. But then on the right wing, there's literally no one now. It's just Murphy. I suppose Murphy scored. But I do just think if you're gonna have games like you are by not signing him, you are risking games like this now towards the end of the as the season comes towards its conclusion, and it could cost Europe. I mean, the Premier League table is so close. If you start losing a couple in a row, you're suddenly looking at you're probably about 8th or 9th rather than 4th or 3rd, because 3rd's still within range, really. So it was disappointing. I mean, Newcastle have now been beaten by Fulham twice this season. Fulham are a good team. They've got some good players. Marco Silva's done a very, very good job.
He has.
But Newcastle, if they're going to get into European football, should be beating Fulham at home. in truth. And unfortunately, just no one was at the level that they had to be. Even at 1-0, we didn't push on. It was all Fulham in the second half. Don't get us wrong, Tonali's a bit unlucky when he hits the bar with that, what would have been goal of the season. Isak's unlucky when he hits the bar as well. But it's a reaction on Wednesday, because that's the most important game, let's be honest, but still.
Well, with that, the most disappointing thing is, under Eddie Howe, I think I mentioned it in my reaction, under Eddie Howe, we're defensively sound. If we got into the lead, I was always confident we take something from the game. We don't typically crumble and throw the game away. That was incredibly disappointing. What do you think led to that, Stephen? Was there any have you got any numbers for me that led to our downfall?
I don't know that there's nothing that really indicates exactly why we played as badly as we did in the second half. Something happened mentally with the team at halftime, because we didn't play particularly well in the first half. We played well enough we created, I think, 0.5 XG worth of chances to Fulham's 0.22, and then in the second half we came out, we created 0.22 like Fulham did in the first half, but they created 1.3. We had a big chance each, but they had 11 shots to our 4 in the second half at home. I think something happened. The words that Eddie Howe gave them at halftime maybe didn't sink in well enough. Maybe there's just some burnout going on. I'm not sure. Jack, you mentioned the lack of signings having an impact on a team based on the depth of the squad. Lack of signing, people going out and no one coming in, can also have a deflationary effect on morale as well. We know Fulham are a good team. I think we said it in the last episode of the pod. They had the 4th best defense in the league by underlying numbers. They're relatively middling in attack, but we did. I think the 3 of us on that episode, I think it was Ryan, Bo, and myself, agreed that both teams are probably going to score. But it all came down to whether or not we would be able to actually take our chances. And as you say, Jack, Murphy managed to score 1. I don't really always buy into the whole, they're a bit unlucky to hit the bar or hit the post. I think it's a bit unlucky if a bird flies out the sky and hits the ball off course. Get it on target. Yeah. It's just a miss. It's just an inaccurate shot at that point. I don't think there is really much, because if you hit it off one side of the post, it's going to go in, and if you hit it on the other side, it's going to go out most of the time, unless it's straight on, in which case it might come straight back out. There's not really as much luck involved in it, I think, as people sometimes say. I think we just dropped the ball. I think there's maybe some emotions or anxiety about Wednesday, or some just a build up of everyone's looking ahead. The coaches love to say, it's about the next game. It's the game in front of us. But, as we saw when we went a couple of years ago, when we went to the final, we got the whole fan base, the team as a whole got a bit too emotional in the build up, and that probably didn't help us. And I think maybe that's what we're feeling. We're feeling like, the more important game right now, as you say, Jack, is the Arsenal game. And I think that's probably the most likely thing to have caused such a dread. It was really bad the second half against Fulham.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying this to another human being, but I think you're being a little harsh. Because I thought, I completely agree with Jack. That Tonali effort was ridiculous. I feel like, score it, I absolutely get where you're coming from, but both of them, if they'd gone in, would have been like that one of the best goals I'd seen in a long time. Even Isak's goal, it took it, bent it over the keeper. But yeah, you're kind of right in saying that. But I thought, if the Tonali one had gone in, Jesus Christ, that was a sensational effort. But I think in general, that was a poor match. We were sloppy. I think it was Tonali's pass that gave it away for the first goal. We didn't recover from it. I know Adama Traore is a one-trick pony, and he's probably the worst player for Lewis Hall to defend against, but I thought he had quite an easy game against Lewis Hall. I think Lewis Hall didn't do well, but it was a physicality game. That's because that's all that Adama has. And it's sad to see someone as basic as him and one-trick pony as him do really well. I thought he had a good game against us. And I thought Willock's miss was shocking. I thought maybe it was caught off guard. He kind of just come on, but if we're going on the just score, then just fucking kick it, mate. Kick it. Just hit it with your foot. I said to my dad, if he's hit it, it weren't an easy chance, but You got to, if the keeper makes a save, keeper makes a save. Who was it through on goal? Was it Shaw that was through on goal? And the keeper had to make a really good save. Defender had to make a really good tackle. Fine. You can forgive that. Can't forgive missing the ball. And if that were Longstaff, I feel like people would get on his back a lot more.
People got on his back in a rather vile way, to be fair.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, he received a lot of racist abuse after the game.
Oh,
the club had to put out a really strong statement about it.
Really?
Yeah, you should have seen some.
To confirm, not to stop the racism. It happened. That the racism happened.
Yeah, typical Yorkshireman. Yeah, no. Some of you've seen the screenshot. I've seen the screenshot. Some of it's horrific. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah. Well, they're idiots. However, on you're an idiot for missing the goal. He was a bit of an idiot for missing the goal.
Well, yeah.
Never deserves that sort of comments. And I feel like we're going to move on to this now. I feel like what we were just crying out for, desperate for, were signings. As you say, I'm looking at our bench and I'm like, amazing. Defensively, we've got brilliant, a whole new other defense on the bench. It's it's a good looking defense. My dad said it looked like a good looking. Sorry, I'm not really dragging my dad through the mud in this podcast, but he was like, "Oh, it's a really good looking bench." Now, who's going to change it in attack? Willock was like our most offensive player that I was like, he's going to do anything, because why we bought Will Osula will never, ever, ever. I just don't know. Like, fair enough, we bought Hall, and I like why we bought him. Didn't know he's come good. I hope I'm wrong about Osula. I really hope. I'm giving him the kiss of my chef's kiss of your shit, and then he's going to win the Ballon d'Or next year. But he is god awful. Yeah, we're just crying out for signings. I feel we're lacking that. If it's a mental thing from our team, I think it's just a bit of adding that bit of quality to adding an extra piece for the other team, a piece of the puzzle to the other team to figure out, put something else on for them to go, this has changed. We couldn't change. They were really comfortable with what we had. Some football manager news. Lloyd Kelly has signed for Juventus. Actually, in real life, this happened. It was when I saw the rumours swirling around, I was like, that's the sort of thing I'd get on like 2 years into football manager. Like, oh yeah, of course Juve want him. Yeah, go on then, off you pop. Comments on that? I really don't know what to say. I'm kind of gobsmacked in regards to that transfer.
Looking like 20 million fee as well. That's what's been reported.
I think that's inclusive of loan fee and add-ons, though. I think. Yeah, it's not, but it's an obligation to buy at least.
Obligation to buy.
In the summer. Yeah. So 6 months loan, then okay, cool.
And whether or not that obligation is triggered before the PSR deadline on June 30th, I'm not sure, because if it is, then whatever other accounting stuff happens.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think as a base move, I mean, it's great for him, isn't it? Like, to be fair, like, he gets to go and play for one of the biggest
business for us
either. Yeah, I think from Newcastle's point of view, it's a really good deal as well, in the sense of like, he was a free signing. He basically just covered Botman's injury, and then he's gone, and it's and going to make some money from it. I think I do feel bad for him, because I don't feel like, obviously that was his intent. I don't know, it wasn't his intention for this to happen. I assume he thought he was going to probably play along. He would be playing ahead of Byrne, and it would be him and Cher at centre back. I don't think he was expecting to be starting at left back when he did play, and obviously then rotating with Lewis Hall. At left back, he has played left back for Bournemouth before, but maybe it was just a slightly different way of playing left back that he needed to at Newcastle, so it didn't really work for him. I think that I've seen a lot of pretty harsh criticism of him. He has been bad in his games. I can't argue with that, but I think people writing him off as a terrible player is pretty ridiculous, considering he is going to Juventus. Don't get us wrong, Juventus.
And we also know the track record of players coming in under Howe tending to need a lot of time to get in.
They take time, don't they? So even if it's Howe like knows from his time at Bournemouth as well. So it's one of those. Look, Newcastle should obviously now invest the money with a little bit of time to go. Obviously, by the time this goes out, the transfer will be closed, and we would have signed no one, as I predicted a few weeks ago. So that's the issue. I guess it all just comes down to the summer, leaving yourself a little bit. I think in defence we are covered, actually, to be fair. Like, there's Botman and Lascelles to come back, Kraft as well. So defence, we're fine. It's just more, you would want to see that money. He's not there. He's at Bolton. Your best mate at Bolton.
He went to Bolton, and their manager got sacked immediately after, as they always do.
What have you done?
You would just probably like to see that money invested in a right winger. Same with the Almiron money as well. And just another forward option, because now you're looking at it, and I'm feeling like Joe Linton looks like he's injured. So already we're going to probably see out I would hope Miley plays, to be honest, in midweek. It'll probably be Longstaff or Willock, but I hope it's Miley. And I think you have to see Willock used as more of a winger, to be honest, for the rest of the season, either on the left or the right, because he can carry the ball really well. He's not had a good season so far, Willock, but I'm not writing him off as a player. I do still think he has a lot to offer. And I just think, with the Kelly thing, that's the issue. It's just it's leaving the squad short in other areas, not necessarily in the defence. It's just if you're going to make this deal, fair enough, but then try and sort something else out. Because now we're going to be going through 2 transfer windows. Well, actually 3, because last January as well, where there hasn't been a player who's joined who's improved the starting 11. Because that's when Lloyd Kelly joined. I don't think many, as I said, he might have. I think maybe you would have thought, he might play instead of Burn, but I still wouldn't have said, he's better than Botman. So he's not improving the starting 11.
No.
He would have filled in for the first half of the season and then sort of rotated around. So I think that's the issue with it for me, really. It's just like we've left ourselves short in other areas of the pitch where we could have invested this money. It's a great deal in the sense of like brilliant, free transfer, made a load of money. But if we don't invest the money, what's the point?
Well, we can't spend. We've got no money. It's all about sustainability in football, not being able to spend money.
I do think. I mean, the club have clearly shown they're hell bent on never having a repeat of the last summer. They'll never. I think the deal for Kelly, especially with it being an obligation to buy. I mean, Italian clubs tend to like an option. They like to try before they buy. They don't always do obligations. I think we got a guy in on a free. He played badly in his few cameos, and we've sold him for 20 million, all inclusive. Yep. I think if that's the first sort of inkling of what Paul Mitchell can do for us in terms of helping us move on players, then I'd hope, we've seen Almiron leave for not a terrible fee. I think maybe think in the summer there's people who will be out of contract, but then there's other fringe players or other players who aren't quite at the level who might be moved on. And you think, okay, maybe this is the start of him actually being able to operate. And I think that's maybe the silver lining out of all of it.
Well, you guys will know more than this than I will on most things. Is my expectations of Mitchell too high? When all I heard from everyone was like, "Oh, he's amazing. He does all this," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Brighton are the best probably in the world or one of at finding these gems, but like." I don't see us going out. Why can't we spend this 20 million now on a 20 million pound up and coming right winger that could probably start now? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't all the young players I've seen us buy, unless they're like big money, like Livramento, like Lewis Hall, all these little players that just we've bought and they've just gone, poof, never seen them again. Like we've done that as a club since I've been a fan. The amount of times I've seen us sign like Ben Tozer for £1 million and then 3 years later, he's left and then he's played for Wrexham last time I saw him. Like, we don't do that well. And I thought Mitchell would help us do that. I'll just buy someone. Like, I thought the reason for getting him in was get players cheaper before they were like Isak level and not spend 60 million and not spend 40 million on a Bruno. Buy someone for 11. And it's just not happening. Is it too soon for me to want that from Mitchell?
I think so. We've continued the whole buying players to sort of polish and bring up the sort of finish in the academy. Obviously, we signed that Georgian lad Vaktan Scalia. I can't remember the name of is it Yildiz, the guy, the Turkish guy who's apparently coming in. And we've got all these. We got a number of players who are now going out on loan to start sort of getting the real developmental minutes that they need physically and in lower leagues in England or abroad. I think the thing that we need at the moment is it's hard. Especially in January, we know that much. It's hard to find value pieces in the middle of a season when most clubs don't want to spend money or don't want to do business because they know if I sell this winger, they might be good for like a mid-table French side, but there's almost no guarantee. There is no guarantee that they're going to be good for us in a high-intensity system. The club clearly don't want to be doing because they want to maximize all of their potential spend. We had all the issues last summer, so it does look like this summer coming is effectively the reset of it'll be another year of PSR spending off the books. We made a profit. We made a profit in the last couple transfer windows. We spent about 70 million euros. We made about 85 in total, including Almiron so far, and that's not inclusive of Lloyd Kelly. There's been I've seen some speculation that having a strong financial footing towards the end of the season will mean that we could maybe take advantage of some teams who are themselves unsure about their PSR situation before June 30th. But I think the club want to do the club. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think. They've said it themselves. They want to do all their business in the summer, and I think you're right. They do want to get in players who are a bit younger, more value pieces. And I think we just haven't. There's only so much Mitchell could do. Mitchell doesn't sign off on the spend. He can, do the negotiations and stuff and help identify talents, but he's not the guy who's writing the check. He's not the chairman. In the same way that Howe isn't the guy who's watching every single player. He's just watching the guys that get brought to him. And ultimately, over the course of the ownership so far, when we have brought players in, by and large, the transfers have worked. Even Kelly, you could argue at this point, he's coming on a free. We've sold him for 20 million. We've made a big profit on a guy that costs
100%.
nothing.
That's the best we've done in a long time.
Yeah. And at this rate, there's still that trust. And at the moment, if all the criticism, the very valid criticism of PSR and all that nonsense, the club know that if we were to try and do what a lot of other clubs have tried to do, like Chelsea selling hotels to themselves and whatnot, that the league absolutely would throw the book at us. They would go out of their way to hamstring us if they could, because they hate us. We know that. We've seen the emails, the redacted things from behind closed doors from the other ownerships. Everyone hates everyone in the Premier League, but no one hates everyone else more than everyone else hates us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but for me, I'm really eager to see what happens with City, because if City get away with it, then back to normal.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, as far as I'm concerned, because that precedent's been set, we can just do what
especially if it's just a financial fine as well.
Yeah,
especially, they need some kind of ban in order to actually be able to enforce the rules.
They aren't. Nothing's happening to them whatsoever.
No
one gets a 10-year contract.
They're going to get a fine. Yeah,
it's going to be a joke, and it should be what it's always been. And spend what you want.
They should be getting relegated if they're that intent on having these rules in place.
If they're guilty of the things, then yeah, totally.
Yeah. Cool. Well, and also goodbye, Almiron. See you later, mate. There you go. What a lovely tribute to a player who's been with us for 7 seasons. Yes, see you, pal. So we move on to Arsenal on Wednesday. Could this be the worst timing? I remember when we played them first time, we were in the ascendancy. They were struggling, and we were like, "Oh, we're going to batter them." And I'm not sure who said it in this podcast, but someone did say, what can change in a month? And lo and behold, we're losing at home to Fulham, and Arsenal have just battered and bent over mercilessly Man City 5-1. I can't remember the last time City, I don't think they've ever been turned over that badly under Guardiola. Yeah, I mean, Jack, is it bad timing? Every time they say poorly.
It's so bad timing. I'm so nervous, I really am. It just feels like it's got a Newcastle United bottle job written all over it, doesn't it? Bottle jobs to end all bottle jobs. Jesus. It's difficult. I just feel like St James's Park needs to be really alive on Wednesday. If any nerves is there in the crowd, I just feel like that'll seep into the players and stuff. One thing I will say is, look, the Fulham result is, as I mentioned before, hopefully that's going to be used as a wake-up call for, all of the players, basically, in the sense of, look, we can't be complacent here. And Newcastle do have a 2-0 lead. And as far as when we went 1-0 up against Arsenal, they didn't have a chance in the game, really, after that. And we can defend. Newcastle can defend well. Eddie Howe's team, he can set up a really good low block. He does do it quite often. It's just going to be, it's difficult, I think, with 2-0. How you get the balance. Do Newcastle start really quickly and try and get a third and kill it all off entirely? So it's all right, that's done. Doesn't matter. Arsenal can't really do anything now. We're through. Or is it going to be more a case of sit in, try and counter attack? But if Arsenal nick one at any point, the game suddenly becomes very, very edgy and very nervous, and it's so difficult. I mean, I do think we will get through, but I think Arsenal are going to make it difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if they score first, to be honest, and then I think after that you're looking at how we react and what have you. But look, Newcastle beaten Arsenal twice this season, won 3 out of the last 4 at St James's Park. When before that, Arsenal used to just rock up, win every season. Like literally every. And the only time we won beat Arsenal was that 2-1 under Rafa when Richie scored the winner. And that's that. Apart from that, I cannot think of another time that Newcastle have beaten Arsenal like in the past, apart from the last couple of seasons. So do think we'll win. I think it's gonna be nervy, edgy. It's not gonna be smooth sailing. How can it be? It's Newcastle United in a League Cup semi-final. It's not gonna be. Even Southampton wasn't smooth sailing. I mean, we made it 2-0 and they scored, and then it was a bit edgy, that one. So yeah, that's just how I see the game going. And on the other hand, it could go the entire other way. And Michael Oliver's brilliant plan to get Miles Lewis Skelly suspended could backfire, and he could score the winner and knock us out.
Oh, don't manifest that, please.
Yeah, I mean, just for me, it could be any other team. I hate Arsenal the most of them. There's the worst fans, the worst manager. They've got a stinking attitude as a club. They reek of just this entitlement that they shouldn't have. Like, it's not 2000 anymore. Like, what the fuck? I hate them. I really. Although I did like the shithousery against City, the stay humble and the
proof Haaland. But it proved Haaland's point. But it proved Haaland's point.
I suppose,
he was saying stay humble because what you've just drawn Man City away.
What have they won? What have they won?
Yeah.
He was proving,
you've just beaten the worst City side since their takeover. You've just beaten them 5-1 in a season where they've been beaten 3-4-0 off some much worse teams.
And
their back five, their back four, and then Ortega in goal were apocalyptically bad. They were. Him and Akanji in particular, but their whole back five as a unit were apocalyptically bad.
Did we see Ortega when he didn't even try and dive for the last one?
I didn't. I haven't. No.
Unwary one. I mean, it's a decent shot, but
I didn't even dive for it. I saw it. I was like, oh my word! And then when I saw a certain angle, I'm like, he could have maybe got that.
It's not even in the corner.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a little bit. Nah.
I think the sort of the optimism I take out of the game that Arsenal just played against City is that it wasn't necessarily, the scoreline flatters Arsenal. City were awful. They were stinking, like really bad. That made everything worse, kind of bad. Arsenal had 2 big chances in that game, but they scored 5 goals. They had XG of 1. They had 12 shots as a team, and they scored 5 goals. City were unbelievably bad. We, despite playing badly against Fulham and badly against Bournemouth, we're not that bad. We're not that kind of stinking. And we know how to rile up Arsenal. The biggest concern for me is with Joelinton out.
Yes.
He's usually an important part of our defensive structure in these sorts of games because he ends up playing wing back, centre back, winger, centre midfield, everywhere. It's gonna be a real test of Tonali's conditioning. He's going to be asked to fill in that kind of role. And he'll be asked to drop into the back line when needed. And I think your questioning of how we attack the game, Jack, is spot on. It's an interesting thought about how we approach it. I personally would want us to try and start quickly, get another goal, because I can perfectly foresee the stadium being a bit anxious at the start of the game, especially if Arsenal get on top quickly in terms of sort of pressure and possession. And unless we can get an early goal to really get the crowd into it, it can get, St. James's can be really nervous and it can really affect the team. And that's what we don't want. Two teams who both know very well how to bottle things. It would be a bottle off. The only team that's worse than the two of us at bottling things in recent years, and our entire lives, and then recent memory for Arsenal is Spurs. They're the only team that bottle things more often. There are nerves, but I think, like you say, Eddie Howe can organize a defense. We can frustrate the big teams when we need to, and we've done it. And as bad as Southampton were when we beat them 3-1 for large stretches of that game, we did respond. We did play much better against Southampton, even though they are crap, than we did against Bournemouth. And then the hope is that maybe I'm hoping that what I said earlier about them maybe looking ahead to this game is correct, and maybe this is going to be the focus of all their attention, and that they're really working for the next couple of days, and for this gap in between the games, and then they're going to come out and they're going to yeah, they could easily come out and just press from the front really, really aggressively to begin with and nick a goal, and we could end up sailing into the final comfortably, or we could end up bottling it and losing like 4-0. I don't know. I literally don't know at this point. It could go anyway.
That ain't happening. 4-0 ain't happening. I mean, of all the midfielders, all the players to lose, obviously you'd pick Joe Linton as the first name out of that midfield three. Though as important as he would be now, Bruno is sensational at the getting out of defence. Tonali has been just incredible this season. I would probably want to see Longstaff just because I know he will do the dog work. He can put himself about. Miley physically, though he has looked a bit sharper. He looks a bit faster since I've seen him come on recently, which gives me a lot of hope. He's so tall, so weirdly big.
He's filled out a bit as well since he was out of this injury.
So I'm hopeful if he starts as well, I would be fine. But I'd be very. I don't want Willock to start. He hasn't had a great season. I think Longstaff would do us a better job, and he knows that sort of system more so. I am more so. Are we expecting all the same, exact same team, just Joe Linton replacement, and that's it? Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, it's interesting what you say about Willock because he has had a bad season, but his best 2 games this season have been against Arsenal.
Yeah, fair.
In the league.
Hasn't he also been reportedly carrying an injury recently as well?
He missed a game. I can't remember what one it was. It wasn't on the bench for a game. I can't remember actually.
I've seen some stuff about him carrying like a hamstring or a calf injury or something for quite a while now.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean, it would explain maybe some of the drop off in levels. But I think Willock had a really good game against Arsenal at home because he played sort of like almost behind Isak and he caused a lot of problems. And then I thought he was really good at the Emirates as well, actually, in the way he carried the ball up the field. So I would go that. I would actually go for Miley. I see what you're saying about Longstaff, but the reason I go for Miley is because I think that if we have 3 midfielders who are all really good on the ball and can deal with the pressure that Arsenal are probably going to put on, I think that's actually a much better thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Than have Longstaff. I know Longstaff's good in these games where Newcastle don't necessarily have much possession because that's his game. But I think when we do have possession, I'd rather have someone who I'm confident can switch it out to someone and relieve the pressure and get us up the pitch. So I would go.
I'd like to see Miley if he's starting because he had that breakthrough season and was great, and he was a complete amateur, never played at that level before, and now he's been in the first team for a while. As we say, players do get better under Howe. I would like to see what level he's at now. Because I remember when he first came on the scene, was he 16 when he first started playing for us? He was incredibly composed on the ball.
Yeah.
So is he pushing 18 now? Was it about a year ago?
He's 17. He started training with the first team at 15, and then he got his debut at 16, and now he's 17. He's also got rid of that crap haircut that he had, that sort of Trippier kind of Caesar cut bollocks.
Good. Well,
that must be the reason why he's filled out. You know, his shite haircut's not preventing him from growing up a bit.
I don't really comment on haircuts. And so score prediction. I will go first. I think we win 2-0.
Oh,
2-0. Dubravka's in net. 2-0. Easy. What's your prediction, Stephen? What are you saying?
1-1.
1-1. Okay.
I think we can score goals, and I think we have a knack of scoring 1 against Arsenal to really piss them off. Mm-hmm. I hope to all the pantheons of deities out there that we score the most controversial dirty goal possible to knock them out. It's better yet if we go down 2-0 and then we score 1 in really controversial fashion to knock them out and go to the final. Yeah, I would love it. To channel my inner Keegan from it, I would love it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I was going to say it's Keegan. Okay, Keegan on the channel.
I would pay for that. Honestly, I've got like 3 Arsenal fans in my work, and God, they still rage about that Joe Linton goal. Like, fuck, get over it.
Yep.
Yeah. And Jack, what's your score prediction? You still think we're going to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle, but I do think Arsenal score first and just make it.
That made my night miserable. Like, I really hope they don't, because I think, as you say, the stadium was thinking, oh, fuck me, no again.
Here we go again.
Yeah, here it happens. But we all think we're going through, and I think we will go through as well. So positive vibes Positive vibes. And we made it all the way through an episode without me saying the word PSR. What a wonderful day. What a wonderful time we've had. Thank you both for joining. If you've made it this far, like, share, and subscribe. Comment below your score prediction. Take care.